Ladies and gentlemen, coming to you from Lancaster, Virginia, the latest news and recaps in the world of professional wrestling. Welcome to the Wrestling Artistry Podcast. And now, here's your host, Andre Smith.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 30 of the Wrestling Artistry Podcast. I am your host, Andre Smith, and today I'm just going to go over some of the highlights that occurred on this week's Raw, NXT, and AEW Dynamite. So, without further ado, before I forget, if you like the content that is on this channel, I urge you to like and subscribe. I would appreciate it so much. Anyway, on with the program. So, what are we going to talk about now? Let's first talk about the Bloodline Saga. Finally, Jey Uso chooses a side. So, the main story of Monday Night Raw revolved around the ongoing saga of Bloodline. This night, it started with Kevin Owens going up against Solo Sikoa. As it appeared that Owens was going to be victorious, Jimmy Uso came in to attack Owens, giving Owens the win by disqualification. As Sikoa and Uso continue to punish Owens, Sami Zayn comes in to save the day. After the heels leave the ring, Zayn offers his hand of peace to Owens, but Owens just rolls out of the ring. The story continued up to the main event, which was Jimmy Uso versus Sami Zayn. During the match, Jey Uso appears at ringside and the crowd is buzzing. Zayn ends up winning by roll-up, but that is not the end of the night. Jey enters the ring and looks at his brother Jimmy. As you can tell, he was just holding on to Jimmy's shirt. He was just looking at him, was real emotional and stuff. And he decided to walk past him. Then he goes outside the ring where Zayn is recovering from his previous battle, and he embraces Zayn. And the crowd's like eating up, and they're really loving this moment as they stand side by side. Just as it appears that Jey Uso and Sami Zayn are on the same page, Jey lowers a boom and bam, super kicks Zayn. And then Jey Uso, when he chooses his side, he starts beating down Zayn. He throws him in the ring, and all three of the brothers Uso just beat the crap out of him. And then someone comes out to save the day. But it wasn't Kevin Owens, but the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes. And that was what ended up closing the show. That was basically the main thing that happened during this during Monday Night Raw. Next, let's go on to NXT, which they had their roadblock event. Tony D'Angelo goes up against Dijak in a jailhouse street fight. The objective of the match was to incapacitate your opponent to where you can put him in a jail cell and slam the door shut. Dijak executed a springboard off the top rope onto D'Angelo through a table, which looked impressive. Then Dijak hit Feast Your Eyes onto D'Angelo, and then Dijak was about to close the door to win the match, but Stacks got in the way between the door and the cell, and Dijak closed the door onto Stacks. Dijak hits Feast Your Eyes on Stacks, but D'Angelo sees this and gets angry and wears out Dijak with a crowbar, forcing Dijak into the cell, and then D'Angelo closes the door to get the win. As the camera goes to a crowd, they show none other than Dragon Lee, the newest NXT signee. So, Dragon Lee is officially part of WWE now. Next up, the Creed brothers and NXT champion Braun Breaker go up against Indus Sher and Jinder Mahal. After a brutal battle, the Creeds and Braun win. Brutus Creed hits the brutal ball from the top rope onto Veer. Next is the Grayson Waller effect with special guest Shawn Michaels. After they go back and forth, Waller challenges Michaels to win the match at Stand and Deliver. Michaels tells Waller that nothing will thrill him more than to whip Waller's ass at Stand and Deliver, but he has someone else in mind, someone who has a lot of heart for NXT. That's when Johnny Gargano's music hits, and Grayson Waller looked like he saw a ghost. So I guess the Stand and Deliver will be Johnny Gargano versus Grayson Waller. Next up, we have Gigi Dolan versus JC Jane. Dolan wins with an abdominal stretch slam or drop or something. It would look kind of cool. Andre Chase versus Joe Gacy. Gacy wins with the springboard clothesline. Mika Satomore in the main event goes up against the NXT Women's Champion Roxanne Perez in a title match. They go back and forth in what was considered a pretty stiff battle. And Perez retains after winning with her roll-up. But then after the match, Perez collapses in the ring, and the EMTs had to come out and take Perez out of the ring on a stretcher into an ambulance. Kind of reminiscent when Shawn Michaels back in the day, he was wrestling, I believe it was Owen Hart, and he collapsed in the middle ring. That was storyline, and I certainly hope that this was too. Last but certainly not least, we have AEW Dynamite coming out of Sacramento, California. Hey, Sacramento! Oh, okay, I'll stop now. All Atlantic Championship is on the line as Orange Cassidy defends against Jay Lethal. Lethal tries for the lethal injection, but his left shoulder gave out, giving Cassidy the chance to hit the orange punch for the win. Afterwards, Jeff Jarrett attacks Cassidy. He then delivers a chair shot to Cassidy's hurt knee. Ricky Starks, next up, is in the ring. He says that he doesn't know what's next at his victory over Chris Jericho at AEW Revolution. At that point, the theme for the Bullet Club comes on, but just a couple of seconds of it. Juice Robinson enters the ring and ambushes Starks. Ruby Soho gets an interview in the ring with Renee Paquette. She talks about how that she wasn't appreciated and that the crowd created the monster that she has become. Ruby Soho up next goes up against Sky Blue. Blue puts up a good fight, but at the end, Soho wins with Destination Unknown. Afterwards, Saraya and Toni Storm start to spray paint blue until Willow Nightingale comes out for the save. She tries to talk Soho, so I'm saying to do Soho, but to no avail. And then all three of the heels ambush Nightingale and spray paint her as well. FTR is back and they want their shot at the Guns AEW World Tag Team Championship. Next up, Chris Jericho, Sammy Guevara, and Daniel Garcia go up against Top Flight and AR Fox in six-man tag team action. JAS wins after Jake Hager hits Darius Martin in the back with a baseball bat. With Jewish effect later, and Jericho gets the win. Afterwards, JAS declare themselves the number one contenders for the AEW tag team titles. But then the Elite seems to have a problem with that, and they come out to lay their claim. But then the House of Black, who are the current AEW Trios champions, they decided to come on out, and they were like, "Okay, y'all want to do battle? We'll take both of y'all on, both teams on. We don't care." I personally feel sorry for both teams, to be honest with you, because I think they're going to be in for a long night whenever that match goes down. Next up, we have Claudio Castagnoli and Jon Moxley versus John Silver and Alex Reynolds. The Blackpool Combat Club wins after Max gets a submission over Reynolds. Afterwards, John applies a bulldog choke onto Reynolds, and all hell breaks loose after Evil Uno comes out. Then Hangman Adam Page enters the fray. Looks like the Blackpool Combat Club is leaning toward being heels. Just what we need in All Elite Wrestling. More heels. Moving on. So frustrating. The main event of the evening is for the TNT Championship. Falls Count Anywhere. Wardlow defends against Powerhouse Hobbs. Wardlow delivered a swanton bomb onto Hobbs through a table for a very near fall. As Wardlow gets ready to powerbomb Hobbs off the stage, none other than QT Marshall attacks Wardlow with a steel chair. Then him and Hobbs, they double team and does a double choke slam onto Wardlow off the stage. Wardlow is unable to enter the 10 count, and we have a new TNT champ. Powerhouse Hobbs wins, and he finally has a title in All Elite Wrestling. And that will be it for this week's edition of the Wrestling Artistry Podcast. As you probably could tell, I had a couple of technical issues, but that's okay. I'm trying to learn as I go, I guess. But yeah, I promise I'll try to do a tighter job of that. So, anyway, this concludes episode number 30 of the podcast, and be sure to tune in next time for some more tidbits. And until then, fans, so long for now.